What's going on, guys? Gilly Writes Comics here with another video. This one, we're talking video games. And one of my favorite video games of all time, Resident Evil. And we're going to talk about the latest demo that Capcom put out, Resident Evil 8 The Village. And I got with me a very special guest. This is my cousin, Nelly. Say what's up, Nelly.
Hi, guys.
All right, all right. So, Nelly, you're also a Resident Evil fan, right?
Yes, I played all of them except 6 because I heard that one was horrible.
All right, so just for the record, what would be, if you got to go your top 3 Resident Evil games, what would be your top 3?
Hands down, Resident Evil 2 is at the very top. No doubt about that. I guess you could consider the remake in there because
You
the
could
remake
add the
was
remake, yeah,
phenomenal.
of course.
From there, Resident Evil 4
Okay.
would follow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gotta go with Resident Evil 7 because it really tried to do something different and unique, and I enjoyed the new take on Resident Evil 7. So I would put Resident Evil 7 on the third spot.
All right, so that's Nelly's top 3, and you're gonna see the difference because Gilly's top 3 is a little bit different. For me, it's the original. I mean, if you want to say the original PlayStation version or the GameCube remake, whatever, we'll just, Resident Evil 1, have a very special place for Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2, I'll give you right there. Definitely Resident Evil 2, the remake included as well. And for my third, I mean, I hear you with Resident Evil 4. I thought Resident Evil 4 was good. For me, it was a little more action-oriented, but it was still great. It was still creepy. But I would probably go with Nemesis. It wasn't the greatest, not the remake. I'm just talking about the original. I love the stars. I love the whole, Nemesis chasing you down.
Even the original felt somewhat like a rushed job. I mean, it was fun.
It was, but I'm still, that's just me. Like, because it's, I don't know, it's still like the survival horror, even though there was a little bit more actiony. But the modes, I like the mercenary modes and everything. For me, it's just special. It's in that timeline between Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. So I'm a sucker for that. But all right, so we'll talk about the Village. Resident Evil 7 was great because they were kind of revamping the franchise. They go now with a first-person shooter. They're introducing a new character as well. So I know, yeah.
I gotta say just one thing now that we're going to the Village. Spoiler alert. We only played the demo, but we are going to be talking about what we saw in the demo and the little trailers. So there are some spoilers, even though it's minor spoilers. There's some spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, you can stop right here.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Yeah.
if you're all into knowing our thoughts and how the Village is looking like, keep going.
Keep going. So yeah, so basically our thoughts are kind of, I mean, we're gamers and we do have a love for Resident Evil. I'm going to be honest. The Village initially, I mean, I wasn't crazy about it. It does look interesting. I'm just going about aesthetics. I'm not talking about the demo. I'm just talking about, okay, where they're going. It's interesting, and it's kind of have a Resident Evil 4 vibe that I'm feeling. But we'll talk about overall, Nelly, before we get into the demo, just what was your thoughts about, just for what you saw, the Village, knowing what you had as far as little gameplay, trailers and previews before we got into the demo? Like, what were your thoughts on it? Were you like really hyped up? Were you like, okay, let me see? What were your thoughts?
So for me, I got lucky and I managed to get my hands on a PS5. So for me, the Village was on my top list, number one game that I needed to get. I saw some of the images. They did the trailer when they were launching the PlayStation 5, and it was exciting. And it just, as you mentioned, it gave me the same Resident Evil 4 vibe.
I did feel that, yeah.
So for me, I was all in until.
All right, so here we go. So we're kind of excited. With me, I would do things a little bit different. Again, we're jumping into it almost seems like what we see with Resident Evil 7. We have like the survivor looking for his wife. He ends up in like these swamplands, in the deep south, which is very cool. And then now we're going into, it seems like I want to say Europe, right?
Yeah.
Nelly, you had a theory, Romania, right?
Yes.
That it's set in Romania. Tell me about that.
So for those that played the demo, and even you can kind of get the gist of it, the whole castle in the background in the snow. And then if you saw the trailer as well, you get to see like these I guess vampire women that they mentioned there. In the demo, they pop up a little bit. And the whole thing about vampires, the whole thing about castle, and then when you play the demo itself, the currency in the game, they kind of did something similar to Resident Evil 4 where you buy weapons and whatever you need and upgrades. And the currency in the game is lei. and that's exactly the money that's used in Romania. So considering
Okay.
that Romania is home to Transylvania, which is home to Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Dracula.
or I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually Bram Castle,
Yeah.
where they got the inspiration. So Romania is known as vampire country. So you put
Hmm.
all these pieces together, and it's like they're screaming out
It
that this
seems
game
like
is
it's
happening
going
in
to be
Romania.
set in Romania. All right.
Exactly.
So, what were your thoughts on on Chris Redfield? Because I'm so mixed that like the way they just kind of shoehorned him in, and I know
Yeah.
he might have a pivotal role, but I don't know. I mean,
Well,
what are your
let me
thoughts
tell
on
you
that?
right now. You have the image of him up. It looks okay on the image, but what bothered me was more how they portrayed him on the trailer. Again,
Mhm,
we have no idea what the story's gonna be. It could be
mhm,
completely different, but
mhm,
on the trailer, they make him. He comes across as like the next Wesker. He comes across as like the guy that's
mm.
orchestrating everything.
That's
Again,
interesting.
we don't know how the game's gonna go because all we
Yeah.
played is a demo. But just based on the trailer alone,
Mhm,
that's how they're painting him.
mhm.
So I'm not liking that angle,
Yeah,
but
I'll give you that. Okay, so it's interesting to me just because I like Wesker.
yeah.
What bothers me is that if they do go that route, again, this is pure speculation. Chris's character for me doesn't seem to just kind of mesh into just becoming a new Wesker. It's interesting. It might be compelling, but for me, it's like if you know Chris's character, he wanted to rid the world of Umbrella, right? In Resident Evil 5, we see this jacked up version of Chris, right? Then Resident Evil 7, he shows up in the end, and then like now we're seeing him now. So let's, who knows what we're
Yeah.
gonna get.
He does look a
Yeah.
little bit older, but
Mhm.
again, he just gives off that Wesker vibe. Let's see
Mhm.
what happens.
All right, so now we're gonna talk about the demo, and this is where we're going into full spoilers. We're gonna go straight
Yes.
into the story right here. So, Nell, I want to start with you playing the game, right? Just go into, because the demo split into two parts: the village and the castle, and it's very limited. The demo is only available certain
3 days.
dates.
That
Yeah,
was
three
it. Yeah.
days, and you only had a certain time frame where you can
Yeah.
play. And then when you did access the game, you literally had only an hour.
Yeah. Well, this was this last time. The first two times, you only
Mhm.
had 30 minutes. That's all you had.
Oh wow, interesting. Okay, so I didn't play I literally got in yesterday, which was the last day, which
Yep.
gave you the full hour and it gave you the two parts, so I was able to play both
Yes.
parts. So Nell, I'm just gonna go with you. Jump into what was your experience? What do you thought you were getting into, and just how it culminated into your anticipation or
So
excitement for this game going
right
forward.
right off the bat, I started with the castle.
Hmm.
And you start with just like Resident Evil 7, first person view. So I got that
Hmm.
vibe. I like the exploration. I like how
Hmm.
everything was going. Um, and then I couldn't finish that part. I went and I did the village afterwards.
Hmm.
So for me, the castle was good. When
Hmm.
I got into the village is where I start having all the problems.
Okay.
I went into the village. The old woman that looks like a witch,
Hmm.
she for me was great. I mean, she creates this creepy atmosphere. The way that she talks, how they did her was good. But the first thing that came to my mind is just like she's speaking in English. But
Hmm.
it's like, okay, let's see how this goes. Maybe she's like one of like a unique character. Let's see how this goes.
Hmm.
So you're in the village by yourself. You're doing your thing. You finally get to a part where you have like some fights and you come across the villagers. And
Hmm.
when you come across the villagers, that's when it really starts bothering me because again it's in English and in my mind
Mhm,
I know about I was there. I went to the castle, to Brom Castle. I
mhm,
got to see it in person.
mhm,
I know about Romania. I mean, I'm
mhm,
not a specialist, but I
mhm,
was there 3 times.
mhm,
So when I start hearing them in their perfect English,
mhm,
and then the lines that they were given to me, it's really bothering me. So
mhm,
you get these people into all the house together, and you get to see the last remains of the village, which is like 8 different people more or less.
mhm,
But all of them are speaking such perfect English.
mhm.
The lines are all dumb. It's like they're just not trusting an
Super
outsider.
cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cheesy, and then the story is just horrible, and the fact that they're not trusting an outsider when out there it's just full of monsters. I mean,
Mhm.
really, your focus is an outsider instead of a freaking the monsters that are out there
Right,
killing
right.
everybody.
They're worried about an
It just
outsider.
everything was just so funky.
Mhm,
And then the way that they all died, and then the action, and how it was really a giant different contrast in the characters
Mhm.
with Elena and then the father, and then shooting the father with the shotgun that turned into a monster. But then,
Mhm.
oh no, the father. I was like, I'm done with that crap.
Yeah, it
It
was
was just
weak.
disgusting.
Mhm.
And not to mention that they couldn't make it to the house because the gate was closed, except it was like the tiniest little jump out the window and over to the other side just to get to the house. So that felt like lazy programming, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
like just that entire sequence just felt like ugh. And then
So
they put a garage there with a car. I
Mhm.
can kind of see that, but it felt a little bit too much of like rehashing and remaking the car part from Resident Evil 7. It felt
I'm
like
with
a
you.
little too
Yeah.
much of a rehash of that.
Mhm.
It just the entire village, and I can't say the entire village because when you get there, the statue in the middle, the little
Mhm.
cemetery part right next to the church,
Mhm.
like I was feeling the vibe.
There's
I was
certain
feeling the vibe.
touches that bring the atmosphere that
Yeah,
add
and not
to
to
it.
mention when I was at Brom Castle in Romania,
Mhm.
before you go up, to the castle, you do have that lower section, which is like the village, like almost.
Mhm.
Of course, because it's a tourist attraction, it's just full of touristic stores
Right,
where they're
it's not
selling
like where
you,
people live there,
knickknacks left
yeah.
and right. But it still has that same vibe of like a little village right
Mhm.
before you go up to the castle. So
Mhm.
for me, like everything was great until you got to the part where you get to the survivors with the fact that they can't make it across those two little jumps, okay,
Yeah.
to get into Louisa's house. And then the
Mhm.
the whole conversation and how they die with the whole garage and the car, like that entire sequence, it just broke the story for me, broke the illusion. It broke it completely. I
It
just hated
broke
it.
the immersion, right? It's like you
Yeah,
wanna get enthralled, you wanna get thrusted into this universe because we love Resident Evil. Even though if you go to the first Resident Evil, the voice acting was laughable, it still had it was serious. It took it
yeah,
serious, and you forgave, the master of unlocking lines. You
yeah.
forgave that because you were like, "Man, this is a castle in the middle of nowhere, or this is a mansion in the middle of nowhere." So
Yeah,
they're
but here's the
building it
thing.
up. Yeah.
Those were like a little blimps here and there.
Mhm.
In this one, I felt like the entire sequence was just like,
The
ugh,
voice
it was just
acting was horrible. The
disgusting.
voice. So I'll
Yes.
say this: the creepy old lady. It's like again, you starting out the demo. She's right in front of your face. She seemed too like conspicuous to me. It's
Yes.
almost like okay, like if I'm that dude and I got to find my daughter, and this lady's over here, cackling. She has a freaking what was it, broomstick with the freaking skulls attached to it. She's a witch. I get it, but like I'm like, what part of the world is this in? Again, if it's in Romania, where in Romania? Like, is this a low key village that's outside of society or that's outside? Like, I want to know that, right? I hope they kind of fill that in. But I'll agree with you with the voice acting in that, like, everyone speaks English,
Yeah.
and again, I get we're playing a game in English, but you liked Resident Evil 4, right? Now
Oh
that's one
my
of your
God,
favorite games, right?
you just hit it on the head. And that's
Right?
what I was about to say. Like in
Hmm.
Resident Evil 4, yes, it was English, but you could hear the accent in them, which doesn't
Hmm.
exist in Resident Evil 8. And
Hmm.
besides hearing the accents of the main characters that are talking English,
Hmm.
like all the villagers and everything else, you hear these creepy voices saying all these things in
Hmm.
Spanish,
Yeah.
and the game is happening in Spain and you're
Hmm.
hearing Spanish. Like the immersion was there. It
Hmm.
was like, oh my God, where the hell did this guy go to? You
Hmm.
understand?
And it's
Um,
creepy if we translate like morir es vivir, like to die is to live, right?
yeah,
Muere, muere, muere. That's just die, die,
yeah, and
die.
they have some curses in there. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no filtering. There was pure curses in there in Spanish.
So it put you on the edge of your seat. You were on your heels and you felt like, man, like I'm Leon in a world like that doesn't want me,
It,
that wants me dead, and it's freaky. It
it
ramps
had
up
a
the
major
tension.
intensity, a beautiful intensity that I just, at least in the demo with the village, I
Mhm.
did not get at all.
All right, so I'll echo that because that was one thing that kind of threw it off for me. I just like the dad, he turns into like I guess a werewolf. You kind of fight some of the village monsters in the beginning, and they're kind of hiding in the bushes. I thought that was kind of cool, but the only thing that I liked from that, there's a segment where you grab like a shelf and you like kind of close it in, and I
Yeah,
feel like if they have moments where you feel like you're getting chased down and you got to like just create a little space between you. I kind of like those moments. But what we get in the village, it's so little. Where are they really going to explore that? Is it going to be so narrative driven that a lot of these organic, cat and mouse moments will they even be available? And then when you look at the voice acting, it's so bad. You're talking about Capcom, multi-million-dollar corporation. Again,
yeah,
this is just a demo. Maybe maybe they do have what you're saying with the voice acting in store. But if they don't, it kills away, that line, that line that brings into. That's why we play video games. It's illusion, but it feels real. We want to escape. There's a certain escapism that we want with Resident Evil. And that kind of cheesy B-list type voice acting, you don't have the thick European accents. We don't hear any background voices, Romanian, we don't get that.
Yeah, I would have been more immersed
if they would have. We don't get that authenticity.
And grabbed a few Romanians. Doesn't have to be anybody special, and they just put them in the background. And you would have put Romanian speaking with like subtitles. I would have been more immersed. You understand? And the story needed to be better because how they did the whole villagers with a little bit of attitude to then die the cheesy way that they died, and everything that they did was just like
it was weak. It wasn't even it was just so quick. You meet them, and then it's like, okay, I'm safe. I'm in this house. What's gonna go down? Oh, I get it. The one guy inside turns and kills everyone in the most like uninspiring way. It's kind of lackluster and lazy.
Yeah.
And then the Elena character, you're kind of with her, and the way she just dies, falls into the flames.
Yeah.
It's like she disappears.
Like she's weak, but then she's strong, but then she's weak. It's just like that flippy floppy, and then you try to build her up to then immediately kill her. If you know that Ethan's gonna be alone in all of this, like just have her die with everybody else. Like stop
in the beginning, stop dragging it along.
Yeah, and the whole outsider thing that you're doing, it's not outsider. Like it's a language barrier. Ethan speaks English. These people don't speak English. Like there's so many easy fixes to all of this.
Right,
and it doesn't require that much, but it's just like again,
it pulls you out, and that's just in the village, and it pulls you out. Yeah. So I'll give you that. I think there's what I did like was the castle, because I like the idea of you being in this big castle. There's mystery behind it. You're uncovering things. You're finding out the lore. And I wish they would have. I mean, this is me. I'm a big fan of survival horror. One of the favorite games I played is a game called Clock Tower. I don't know if you ever played that game, but there's a lot of hide and seek elements. It came out for the PlayStation, and you don't have guns. You literally got to hide from the scissor man, and you hear him with these big scissors, clank, clank, and you got to hide, and he'll come after you. So you got to hide. So I'm just imagining, in this big castle, if they could create that kind of experience where you got to hide, you don't know where you're going. Like, oh my God, like that, the horror there, there's so much potential. I don't think we're going to go there because I feel like it's more narrative based. In the trailer, you see like this dude with a big hammer. Again, his accent's off. It's weird. It's like they got werewolves in there. And it's like, okay, we're dealing with Resident Evil umbrella and we're going into this mythological type of angle, which I can forgive, but yeah.
So I'm okay with the mythological angle because that's their new take on it, and again, they're doing Romania for that reason. So it all meshes in well on that side. But I hear you on the whole guy with the hammer, the way that he carries himself and he speaks. It's just like really, are you in Romania?
Everything is Ethan Winters. So this is the guy from Resident Evil 7, and we already been through the hell that he's been through. He's going to get called all the way to Romania and just go through another hell and go for his daughter. It's just
you got to see how they fill in that gap, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would just rather, like, when you go to Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 2, you didn't follow Chris. Chris was doing his own thing, and you were curious about it, right? And you got a new character. Why couldn't we have a new character that somehow, and then you can have little Easter eggs that show this crap in Romania somehow, bled into the United States down south from who knows what. Maybe it's, the ancestors that went over there. They brought something, a cult thing, whatever. But I'm just saying there's so much room for creativity and potential, but it almost seems like, I get it. We need a new PS5 game. I get it. Graphics, all that. I feel like it's just going to be like going through the motions for a new Resident Evil game without getting that revolutionary next generation immersion that we need for a Resident Evil game. So I think it's just going to play it safe, cookie cutter. Okay, new angle. Okay, we got Chris Redfield, but I think it's just not going to live up to that type of hype. That's my thoughts on it.
Let's see what they do. Right now, they're only saying like he's going to Romania, chasing, trying to get to his daughter. But how did he find out that she's there? And like, there's a lot of gaps. Let's see what happens.
There's a lot of gaps. Like, the vampire angle, I think, is interesting. They do show an umbrella thing there. So if umbrella was, I don't know, like there's a lot there that you can connect. And like I said, I'm willing to forgive the mythological angle. I want to see how you pull it off. And if it's done in a way that's just, it's going to be more like, come on, Capcom has so much potential to just reinvent the wheel and revolutionize it, evolve the survival horror where we're not. I don't know, man. From what I got in the demo, there's glimpses of hope, but will it pan out? Will it flesh out? I mean, I don't know. I guess to play the game and see. So from a 1 to 10, well, how's your excitement? Are you excited about this? Are you looking forward to it?
I got the game anyway, so in 5 days I'll go through every single layer of it.
Mhm.
But right now, if I just think about the castle piece,
Mhm.
for me it's like a 9 out of 10. When I
Yes,
put the
I'll
village
give you
piece
that.
together with that,
Yeah,
that's where it drops
5 out of
down to
10.
like, yeah, like 4 or 5 out of 10.
We're
The
being
the
honest,
village piece.
guys. We're Resident Evil fans. We're gonna be straight up. We're gonna be 100%. If you guys liked it and enjoyed it, that's great. We liked and enjoyed certain parts of it, but we demand more from our companies. We demand more from our franchises, as we've been fans for over 20 years. I mean, if you want to go that far, we've been into Resident Evil for the long haul. So Nell, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want to buy the game. I wanted to wait on it. And even now that I play it, I kind of agree with some of the things that you're not feeling. I'm there with you, but I think we got some good energy here. I think a full review on this game would be good, and I think I'll most likely buy the game and I'll just play it, and we'll play it out and we'll play it together. When we finish it and finish everything, we'll have our spoiler rant, and we can really be like, okay, Capcom really did something great, or Capcom dropped the ball, and it's just like, where are we going from here with Resident Evil? Let's see, guys.
We'll find out in 5 days.
All right, guys. Thank you for checking out this video. Let us know if you played the Resident Evil Village demo. What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Are you hyped up? Are we just being too much of a nitpicky old men here? Or do we have some merit in our claims? Let us know what you think. As always, guys, Gilly Wright Comments here with Nelly. Till next time, guys, look out for our full review. Later. Peace out.
Peace.